Welcome to our guide on protecting your home sale proceeds over a 4-year bridge to your next purchase. In this video, we will focus on keeping $200,000 safe, liquid, and inflation-aware while avoiding unnecessary market risk. We will walk through a step-by-step plan, instruments to use, a sample ladder, tax considerations, and common pitfalls. Let's get started. Here is today's roadmap. First, we set the objective and constraints. Next, we secure your financial foundation. Then, we choose safe, liquid instruments. After that, we hedge against inflation using CDs, treasury bills, and tips. We will demonstrate how to build a practical 4-year ladder. We will also address a critical tax alert and correct a common myth. Finally, we will compare options, summarize key takeaways, and provide a concise action plan. The central challenge is bridging roughly 4 years between selling your current home and buying again. Because this timeline is short in investment terms, aggressive equity exposure is generally inappropriate. The primary objective is preservation of capital and liquidity, while mitigating, as much as practical, the impact of inflation. Before you invest a single dollar of the home sale proceeds, eliminate any high-interest consumer or auto debt. This step reduces guaranteed outflows and risk. Next, set aside cash for inevitable large purchases, such as replacing an unreliable vehicle or covering moving and medical costs. Maintain a separate and fully funded emergency reserve for 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This is distinct from the home equity preservation bucket. Finally, ring-fence the $200,000 so it is not used incidentally, ensuring the future down payment remains intact. With a time horizon under 5 years, prioritize liquidity and safety. High-yield savings accounts and high-quality money market mutual funds are appropriate core options because they track current short-term rates and offer daily liquidity. Avoid volatile assets such as equities and long-duration bonds that can experience significant drawdowns over a 4-year period. Diversify across institutions when necessary and confirm insurance limits and structures. Remember that money market mutual funds are not bank deposits and are not FDIC insured, though they may be managed conservatively and benefit from regulatory requirements. This flowchart illustrates a practical allocation process. We begin with the total proceeds of $200,000 from the sale. First, allocate funds to pay off any high-interest debt. Second, pre-fund anticipated large expenses. Third, ensure the emergency fund is fully set. The remaining balance becomes the dedicated down payment reserve. That reserve is then split among 4 safety-oriented buckets: a liquid high-yield savings or money market sleeve for immediate needs, a certificate of deposit ladder with staggered maturities to capture higher rates, a treasury bill ladder for frequent liquidity and state tax benefits, and a tip sleeve with maturities around 2029 to 2030 to address inflation risks. Each maturing rung flows back into cash available for the eventual down payment. Start by estimating quarterly cash needs over the entire 48 months. Place the most immediate needs, typically 6 to 12 months of expected outflows, in a high-yield savings account or conservative money market fund to ensure instant access. Next, create a certificate of deposit ladder with maturities at 6, 12, 18, and 24 months to secure potentially higher fixed rates while retaining periodic access. Add a treasury bill ladder that matures monthly or quarterly so that you always have liquidity coming due without selling in the secondary market. For inflation protection, choose treasury inflation-protected securities with maturities aligned near the anticipated purchase year, for example 2029 to 2030. Or, use fixed maturity TIPS exchange-traded funds that terminate around that date. As rungs mature, roll them forward until you are within 3 to 6 months of the purchase, at which point you begin consolidating into cash to eliminate price movement risk. This table compares common parking options. High-yield savings accounts benefit from deposit insurance within institutional limits and daily access, though rates float. Government money market mutual funds are highly conservative, but are not bank deposits. Review the prospectus. Certificate of deposit ladders are insured at the bank level and can offer higher yields, but early withdrawals incur penalties. Treasury bills are backed by the U.S. government and are exempt from state and local income tax. They are best held to maturity to avoid market price risk. Maturity-targeted TIPS products provide real yield plus inflation adjustments, offering purchasing power protection, though their net asset values fluctuate better. I-bonds are an additional inflation-linked option with purchase limits and access constraints, including a 1-year lockup and an early redemption interest penalty. To mitigate inflation while preserving capital, blend fixed income tools. First, Create a CD ladder with staggered maturities such as 6, 12, 18, and 24 months to lock in attractive fixed rates. Second, build a Treasury bill ladder with monthly or quarterly maturities that provides frequent liquidity and state and local tax advantages on interest. Third, incorporate TIPS with maturities near your expected purchase year, like 2030, to directly adjust principal with inflation. If you prefer simpler management, consider fixed maturity TIPS exchange-traded funds that terminate near the target year. Finally, maintain a liquid sleeve in a high-yield savings account or money market fund for day-to-day access. The sample allocation shown is illustrative only. Revise it based on your cash flow needs, risk tolerance, and the rate environment. This timeline shows when each bucket provides liquidity. The HYSA, or money market sleeve, is available daily, especially helpful in the first 12 months. Certificates of deposit mature periodically at 6, 12, 18, and 24 months. Treasury bills mature monthly or quarterly throughout the period, supplying a steady stream of liquidity. The TIPS position is intended to be held until it reaches its target maturity window near the purchase date, at which point proceeds are consolidated to cash. As you approach the final 3 to 6 months before closing, cease reinvesting maturing rungs and allow them to accumulate in cash to eliminate market risk. High-yield savings accounts are bank deposits insured up to regulatory limits and provide simplicity and daily access, though rates float and transfers may face speed limits. Government money market mutual funds are not bank deposits, but invest in very conservative short-term government securities and may offer institutional-grade liquidity features. Their yields can be comparable to Treasury bills. For either option, evaluate the institution's policies, fees, and transfer mechanics, and for money market funds, read the prospectus carefully. Let's correct a common misconception. Under current U.S. tax law, Section 121 allows an exclusion of up to $250,000 for single filers or $500,000 for married filing jointly on gains from the sale of a primary residence, provided you owned and used the home as your main residence for 2 of the 5 years preceding the sale. There is no requirement to purchase another home within 2 years to qualify for this exclusion. That old rollover rule was repealed in the 1990s. Be mindful that the 2 of 5 year tests are evaluated prior to the sale date. What you do after the sale, such as renting for 4 years, does not affect a properly executed exclusion on a sale that has already occurred. However, state tax rules may vary, and prior rental use can trigger depreciation recapture considerations. Regarding investments, interest from Treasury bills and TIPS is subject to federal income tax, but generally exempt from state and local tax. TIPS include inflation adjustments that may be taxable each year, depending on the instrument and account type. Because individual situations vary, consult a qualified tax professional. Quiz time. For cash needed within 4 to 5 years, which mix best balances safety, liquidity, and inflation awareness? Option A is aggressive stock ETFs and crypto. Option B is a high-yield savings or money market core plus certificate of deposit and Treasury bill ladders and targeted TIPS. Option C is a long-duration corporate bond fund with high yield. Option D is private real estate and venture capital funds. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is the combination of a high-yield savings or money market core with certificate of deposit and Treasury bill ladders and targeted TIPS. This mix preserves capital, retains liquidity, and addresses inflation without relying on volatile assets. Second quiz. Which statement about U.S. primary residence gains is accurate under current law, Section 121? Option A claims you must buy another home within 2 years. Option B states you can exclude up to $250,000 for single filers or $500,000 for married filing jointly if you meet the 2 of 5 year tests, with no reinvestment requirement. Option C says the exclusion applies only if the new home is more expensive. Option D says the exclusion is automatic with no documentation. You may pause the video now to consider the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct choice is the statement that you can exclude up to $250,000 for single filers or $500,000 for married filing jointly if you meet the 2 of 5 year ownership and use tests without any reinvestment requirement. The old rollover rule is no longer in effect. Key takeaways include segmenting funds by time horizon, building ladders so that cash arrives regularly, and diversifying institutions while respecting insurance limits. Hold treasuries to maturity when possible. As you approach the purchase date, stop reinvesting and allow cash to accumulate. Review rates and allocations each quarter and keep organized tax documentation. Your action plan is straightforward. First, address debt, big near-term needs, and the emergency fund. Next, open or verify a high-yield savings account and a government money market fund. Then, establish CD and Treasury bill ladders and add a targeted tip sleeve for the 2029 to 2030 window. Review quarterly and begin consolidating the cash 3 to 6 months before closing. Maintain meticulous documentation and consult professionals when necessary. This presentation is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Interest rates and market conditions change frequently. Always verify details with your bank or brokerage, read product prospectuses, and confirm FDIC, NCUA, and SIPC coverage where applicable. Consult a qualified advisor or tax professional for guidance specific to your situation. Thanks for watching. If this helped you clarify how to protect your down payment, please like the video, share it with someone who is selling a home, and subscribe for more guides. Tell us in the comments how you are structuring your 4-year bridge and what questions you want answered next.